autogyro. Let's talk about how you got to know it. I saw the photos, I saw your video you did a TED Talk in Padua a few years ago, and I saw these videos, these photos, and I have to be honest, I would be scared because it really seems like you're on an air motorcycle. It's really like the difference between driving a car and riding a motorcycle. You're right there in the sky. Do you want to talk to me a bit about this experience, how you started with the autogyro and how you got the idea to try to set this world record?
Gladly. Also because it was truly a year of my life dedicated to doing it. It started by chance, like many things in my life, as you say, the pieces that get marked. At the beginning of the year with the flying club, we always go on a trip towards the mountains over Venice. We are relatively close to our Alps. That time I was alone, as always in the autogyro, so fully geared up, heading towards the entrance of the mountains near Belluno. There was a lot of wind, much more than usual. And so I have a small machine. In this case, it really feels the wind. Everyone was overtaking me, some on the right, some above, some on the left, and I stayed there. So I started to climb because I thought maybe if I go higher, there might be less wind. So I climbed and climbed and climbed to the point where we needed to go, but no one could see me anymore, especially Eric, who was on the plane and kept saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" In short, to make a long story short, that time was the first situation where I realized that being close to the mountains made me a bit anxious. While going higher, as high as possible, didn't pose any difficulty for me. In fact, I faced it. I went above 15,000 without even a shred of training, oxygen, nothing at all, just reckless. But then I didn't have any difficulty. So going back down to earth, consider that a few months earlier, my husband and I had been in Kazakhstan, where Samantha Cristoforetti, who was a very dear friend of ours, had departed for the space station. We had witnessed the launch. And so I had this contact with her because there at the space station, there is an email address. So returning from the New Year's trip, everyone was teasing me and saying, "Do you want to set the record?" Well, I start thinking about it in the way I know how, meaning I begin to try to understand what I could do, what not to do, to understand what the current record actually is, that is putting together the good habits. And so I write to Samantha saying, I almost have the idea of setting a female record since there was a male one, but not a female one. So let's start with that. The first beautiful thing I carry with me, rightly so, Samantha replies, but why female? Absolute. Why set a limit for yourself when you actually have no reason to do so yet? In fact, it would only be a mental issue, perhaps of fear, of security, something typical, in my opinion, of the female. And so from there, I learned the reason. Aim high, get as high as I can. And from there, we're talking about August, September. From there, I started every weekend to climb. I tried to climb. Each time we tried to optimize something, the weight rather than the propeller pitch, because mine is a fixed pitch. So I had to try to optimize it. Try to understand if there were fuels that could help me. In short, it was truly a team effort, because then the way I involved everyone. In the end, everyone who could give me a hand, The simple thing, I would climb with the helmet, and the glasses would fog up because with the oxygen mask, they would fog up. So there was a girl who had an optometry practice, and she gave me some products to put on the glasses to prevent them from truly a beautiful team effort. And then I said, indeed, I told my husband, I'm going up as fast as I can. I won't stop. And I'll try to go fast because I'm really too tired. So moreover, the record I set is also the speed record for reaching a certain altitude because I did it really fast. At a certain point, I had the feeling that the engine couldn't handle it anymore because all the difficulty was in managing the engine to have it last until the top, right? So not just giving power, but managing it. Meanwhile, in the end, there's a certain speed that allowed me to climb higher. At a certain point, I had the feeling of not having any more engine power. So I looked at the sky demo, which was the altitude information, and I realized I had exceeded the altitude I had planned. And so for a moment, I said, okay, I did it. One thing I had promised myself was that every time I faced a fear, I would put it on the table, open it up, discuss it, and not keep it inside, because that fear then grows and obviously doesn't help you. Every time I faced something that I really understood could cause me problems, I took it out, put it on the table, analyzed it in my own way, but in an attempt to solve it, to find a solution anyway. Sure, anything could happen. Yes, there was a flight where I reached -50 and the control stick became completely stiff. So stiff that I found myself having to use both hands. I got really scared, remembering some nightmares I had before. And there, the only thing I told myself was, what do? Do you go back down? Go back down. That's it. Stop. I reduced the engine power, started to descend. It was a temperature issue, so when I began to descend, the control stick still moved forward. But fortunately below, I had the machine's manufacturer, who told me, you did the right thing. You shouldn't have forced it, because you were obviously going to touch the mechanical part. What can I say? Do it. I have always believed that the main thing that fueled all my choices was precisely passion. Following your passion helps you. It leads you to find the things that are good for you in the end. So the advice is, if you like it, do it. Fly.